Look, Mom, it's me, and no wires. You ever do that when you're a kid? You're riding your bicycle down the street with no hands and your mother's outside gardening or whatever, and you call out to her, look, Mom, no hands, and then she calls back at you, more like no brains. Can't you ride your bicycle like everyone else?
I'm reinventing myself. I'm me and nobody else. Ooh, I can't help but smile.
Just Marco here with another one for you. I hope you're all well. I'm certainly doing well here. And if you didn't guess from the title, this one's going to be about wireless video transmission, specifically about this system here. This is the GIMBAL TP Mini. To get it out of the way, GIMBAL sent this to me for free. I get to keep this, but no money exchanged hands for making this video. They have no say in what I say. They're not going to see this video before I publish it. The only thing actually that the people at GIMBAL asked that I let you all know is the fact that this is only $89. That comes in at a third of the cost there. I think the closest competitor is another Chinese company called Tis or something like that. A horrible name anyway. They've got a model called the JM300 or something like that. The receiver and transmitter on their own cost more than this entire system together. This is a price category of its own. You're not going to get anything else for less money as far as wireless video transmission. The receiver and transmitter are identical to each other, except for the fact that, of course, in the corner of the receiver there's an RX and there's a TX on the corner of the transmitter. The transmitter has an HDMI in and an HDMI out. The HDMI in is from the camera, and the out is if you need to connect anything else on the camera end. And on the receiving end, you've got two HDMIs out. So theoretically, you can connect one to the monitor that you've got. Myself here, the Portkeys monitor. By the way, I do recommend you check out Portkeys monitors if you are in the market for a little monitor like this. I really love mine. It's got the touch screen functionality and all that stuff. Amazon affiliate links below, by the way. Oh, and also Amazon affiliate links for this guy as well below. No cost to you, and sort of helps to support the channel if you wish to do so. And also available at B&H too for that $89. I say anything with dragons, sign me up. But you might not like the dragons, which is fine, because this comes on like a decal sheet, and you can chuck those if you want, or you can stick those on there. Mine came with one applied already because I think GIMBAL wants all their reviewers to actually have the dragons on their units while they're talking about them. Anyway, I dig the dragon, so I'm leaving mine on there. All aluminum housing, they're 113 grams a piece. They weigh the same, both the receiver and the transmitter, so very lightweight. No fan. Which makes them super quiet, which is nice, and they're very low power consumption, and that would be one of the reasons why they don't heat up enough to require a fan. Some reviewers have said that these get a bit hot. Personally, I've been running these for hours, and they're only slightly warm, I would say. So I'm not really, maybe they had them in direct sunlight or something like that, which I don't think you want to put any camera gear out there in direct sunlight. Although I had these out in direct sunlight when I was doing my range test, a little bit more on that later. You could also run a second HDMI out to like maybe a TV or something like that. Maybe you've got clients in a room or somewhere off to the side and they're looking at things on a big screen, whatever you happen to be shooting, and then maybe you've got another monitor that a DP is viewing, or you've got like a focus puller or something like that. So theoretically, you could run those two out. I've been just using the one side myself. Sony NPF batteries, kind of a standard when it comes to equipment like this. I've got one here connected to the port keys monitor and another one powering the receiver. There's two NPF 970s taped together. That's not one huge battery. You don't have to use 970s. You can use smaller NPF batteries if you want, but these 970s will run you like 8 hours or something like that. Some crazy number anyways. You can also power these via USB-C. There's a little USB-C port. Of course, like any modern device, you've got USB-C on there as well. So of course, with a USB-C power bank, you can run this for like some insane, probably days, I would imagine. The transmitter and receiver have a switch, an on and off switch. You've also got this stop button. It's like a stop transmit button, as well as this, it looks like a play button, but if you hit it, you get a battery indicator. So what is the catch? An $89 wireless video system. Who is this for? Is an $89 wireless video system going to be worth anything? A third of the cost of its nearest competitor. Watching this, you're seeing that this connection hasn't been dropping out. That alone for me is sort of the worth the price of admission, because I hate having cables on the floor in here. And the only thing I ever really have connected with a cable to my camera is this monitor, because I hate using Sony's wireless video monitoring apps on my phone or on my iPad. And this is a way around that. And I can kind of keep this sort of unit together. I can just kind of expand the legs on this little tripod, put this down wherever off camera, and I can keep an eye on how things are without having to worry about calls coming in on my phone or texts coming in or whatever. Apart from having to recharge these batteries every once in a while, which would be very seldom because I've been running this for hours now without any problem whatsoever. Batteries not showing a sign of dying at all has been great. So I want to say, before I even show you any of these tests, that this is worth it for me, the 89 bucks. A luxury. For some of you, not worth it. You rather just run the cable, or maybe you don't mind the dropouts you're getting between your camera and your phone. Maybe you aren't having that problem for some reason or another, and I'm the only one. But all of my Sony cameras have been having problems with dropouts, regardless of whether it's a more powerful wireless transmission from my FX30 versus the not as powerful wireless transmission in my 6700. Both of those systems far from perfect, and I get dropouts even at this distance. Pretty sad. So definitely worth it for this. Now, some of the claims from GIMBAL. GIMBAL says that this has a 600-foot range. Now, that is in the most ideal condition, I imagine, outdoors, line of sight. I'm going to show you my range test that I do. I only go out to like 350 feet. It's hard to find a park where I can go any further than that without worrying someone's going to steal my camera while I'm walking away from it that far. And I'm also going to show you a bit of a range test inside that's going to make a lot more sense. That's definitely a more real-world situation where you're having to deal with walls and things like that, and interference from things that you'd find in a studio or what have you. Anyway, right, let's get into those, and then we'll have some conclusions for you as to who I think this might be good for and who should avoid it. Oh yeah, and the latency. A lot of people are concerned about latency. 70 milliseconds, which is acceptable for a lot of things. It's really not a big deal for most use cases anyway. Right. I'll get back to you on some conclusions. Hey there everybody, here we are in the great outdoors, and we're going to be doing our range test. A range measurement at a park called Measurement Park. Yes, no joke, it's called Measurement Park. This is going to be as scientific as the tests in my other episodes, which is not very. I've got the transmitter on the camera right now. I'm going to turn the camera around and point it that way, walk out there with the receiver, and see how long the signal holds up. GIMBAL says 600 feet. I kind of doubt that. These units don't even have any visible antenna on them, but then again, what do I know about this stuff? Right, so let's see how this goes. So we'll see what cuts out first, my wireless video or my wireless audio, because I've got my wireless audio on the camera as well. I'm going to start walking backwards and see when this thing starts to glitch. Can you see me still? There I am, a little tiny dot. Wow, I'm very impressed so far. I was not expecting to get this far without some glitching. I'm afraid to go any further because if anyone decides to take my camera, I'm not going to make it back in time. Wow, I am shocked. So that outdoor range test wasn't ideal because you guys didn't get to see what I was seeing on the monitor. You pretty much just have to take my word for it that the system wasn't dropping out while I was walking away. And another thing, Measurement Park didn't really measure long enough. I only got up to about 350 feet away when I was running out of park. Not only that, I was getting a little bit nervous getting that far away from my camera with like strangers walking by behind it, wondering which one of them is going to decide just to take my camera and run off. But the real test would be indoors, or at least in an environment where there could be things blocking the signal, namely walls, where you're concerned with audio, for instance. So you want everybody who's maybe monitoring what's going on as far as video goes in another room. So that means there's going to be a wall between you and them. So I thought that I would devise a test that sort of puts this thing through its paces a little bit more, because I mean, being outside with line of sight between the transmitter and receiver, you're not really going to have much possibility of things causing interference. But you throw some walls in and some other things that you'd get in an indoor environment like electronics or what have you, that's more a real world scenario. And so that's what I'm going to test with this now. I'm going to attempt to walk with this camera through my building to the back, hopefully maintaining a signal over here. Yes, I'm going to actually let you guys see the signal coming in, so you don't have to just take my word for it. So I've got the receiver set up here on my TV. This is the start screen. This is what things look like before you have both the receiver and transmitter turned on. I've got the receiver turned on, but not the transmitter. If I turn the transmitter on here, there you go. We've got a signal. Okay, you can hear my audio echoing right now. That's my audio being transmitted through the microphone of the camera, through the HDMI, into my home theater system that's connected to my TV. I know, very distracting. Let's see how this goes. So I've messed up this test several times now. First time I forget my keys, then I have my shoes ready, then I forget my on-camera microphone, and then I forget to press record on my camera. Anyway, let's give this a shot again. Get my shoes on. If you're wondering why it says please leave the lights on, that's because I'm selling my place and I can't have the agents turning my lights off. All right. Cleaning person left their vacuum in here. Okay. So there's a YouTuber out in Winnipeg, his name is Joshua Diaz. He does not recommend the TP Mini because he says it's unreliable because he was having dropouts. And I don't believe it's signal dropouts due to transmission. I think it's an HDMI issue with these units, because I was having absolutely no issue whatsoever during my tests I was doing outside or the ones that I was doing out here in the hallway, apart from, of course, the signal dropping out after the signal was trying to pass through like 6 walls, a couple of them fire-rated walls. It'll be very unlikely as well that you'll ever encounter a situation where you've got to go through so many walls with your wireless system. Talking about it, the signal is solid again, it's not blinking, but I was able to reproduce the issue that he was having, and now of course there isn't one. So 2 days of no problems whatsoever with these guys, and I'm thinking to myself, like, well, I was elated. I was like, for 89 bucks, an actual, like, usable wireless video system. But, you know, it kept gnawing at me, you know, because I watched that video from that YouTuber that I had mentioned, the guy in Winnipeg, Joshua Diaz. And of course I had to keep going until I could recreate the problem he was having, and then sure enough, I'm like, damn, he was calling them dropouts that he was having, and dropouts suggests that it's a problem either on the receiving or transmission side, or both, and I don't think that's at all what it is. I think it has something to do with the HDMI outs on this guy. Not even on the camera end. I think it's all about this end actually, because playing around between these two outs and reconnecting the TV is what cleared up that problem. Has nothing to do with transmission or the distance between these units. It could be on this end and the connection between this and the camera, but I don't think so. And I'm quite certain nothing to do with the transmission or reception. So this brings me to who these are for. So if you can't really rely on that, then there are going to be a lot of people who aren't going to be spending even $89 on these. They're going to opt to spend the 3 to 5 to 6 times more. That for BET-TIS system, it's like just under $300, and then you're looking at that Mars system from Hollyland. That's something like 430 bucks. And then north of that is the DJI system. Now, Linus of Linus Tech Tips, I don't even know what he calls his channel anymore. I think he's got a second channel as well, or whatever. But anyway, he tested the DJI system and he managed a 20,000 foot range from that wireless system somehow. I have no idea how he did that. One of those systems from either DJI or Hollyland is going to be rock solid, and you're a professional. You're going to be opting for that over a system even when it's a fraction of the cost like these guys here. Now, if you're someone like myself, these are a wonderful luxury and definitely worth the $89 just to get this cable off the floor. So GIMBAL, I would beg of you, just because I really like this so far, I think it's a good product that could be great, and if you could figure out what's going on with these, it would open up the market to a lot of people who would opt for these over the higher cost alternative. Not all of us need these, and for those of us who don't need them, these are probably the most attractive to those people, actually. More a luxury purchase, and for $89, which is relatively inexpensive, yeah, I think they're worth it. So I really feel like I should mention this for the sake of some people. Now, just because this receiver has 2 HDMI outs, there's going to be some people who want to run one of those HDMI outs to a monitor and the other one to a recorder. Now, they must keep in mind that if you're running that to a recorder, you're only going to get 1080p on the way out. It supports putting 4K in, but you're only going to get 1080 out. And that's what these systems are for. They're for monitoring video. They're not for the sake of recording. And not only that, but although GIMBAL's literature will say that it supports 60p out. It looks as though all you're getting is 30 or 24 on the way out, which is also no big deal if you're just monitoring. So there's something else too. Many professionals using higher end cinema cameras, the connections will be SDI rather than HDMI. If you've invested in equipment that uses SDI connections, you're clearly not going to be pinching pennies buying into this system anyway, and you don't want to use any kind of adapters to degrade any of your connections going from SDI to HDMI, just so you can use some $89 receivers and transmitters. Okay, so as usual, if you guys got something out of this one, consider leaving me a thumbs up. If not, that's okay too. If you want to make sure you don't miss any of these in the future, please consider subscribing, and until next time, keep working to make your chosen idea a reality. Peace.